Hello, folks, and welcome back. We are back from our break. University of Colorado versus Iona College. Sir Waltham and User Intel, very excited to be here today once again. Our second game here, User Intel, and hopefully a little bit longer than the last one we saw.
I definitely have to agree. We just got off of an interesting series. Just a quick match, a little bit of lag and a bit of kind of DCing on Temple of Anubis. But either way, every match is a new experience, meaning that we have a nice opportunity for teams to be able to kind of bring us into very close quarters rather than just a straight beat down to the face. And especially with the teams that we've got now. Well, some say debatably, yes, it could be a little bit more one-sided. I'd like to think that this is a swing, we've got to push ourselves back before we start going forward.
Yeah, oftentimes in matches like these, I like calling them checkpoint matches. Iona might not be looking to take the absolute victory over Colorado, but they can use this to kind of gauge where they're at. If they're able to take a couple points or even a map off Colorado, things are going to be looking very good for them. We're going to be starting here at Command Center as the doors are about to drop. No surprise here, we're going to be seeing the sim getting everybody teleported in the immediate. It looks like Iona College not going to be switching back to the Tracer, instead leaning in on this, and turrets immediately going out as Colorado look to go with a similar strategy. The exact same strategy, as a matter of fact. That Junkrat can be raining in a bunch of damage, and you can already see the raw aggression coming out of Boulder. They're definitely feeling themselves here so far. That sim able to just tear things up. Cloud gonna be looking to lean in a little bit more, trying to get that Lucio so nobody can get away. Not quite able to make it happen, but those mini sentries gonna be going up.
A little bit unfortunate. Symmetra is much better at controlling those zones rather than Cassidy, as well as the fact that Colorado, they just got more value out of it, and it really works to show the proof. And now with them being able to play so far back, Iona's going to struggle to just move in.
We can see University of Colorado already having most of their ultimates more charged up than their opponents. Cloud very close to that barrier, allowing the field to essentially be cut in half. It's going to start off with the amplification matrix, though. Cloud able to take down Madara, and just like this, Boulder already looking to lean in, get a lot of damage going here, and they're going to be looking to stop this push from Iona rather quick.
A lot of things you don't need to do. That was one of them, because that was such a good push and the way to use that window. The moment Iona wanted to be able to kind of move in, maybe take an early fight or use that Riptide, they just immediately got punished. Now they're going to be looking to kind of switch things up. They no longer want to walk through main, maybe take that left side, set up for a Riptire, but Colorado have ultimates.
Oh no, Yahoo going to be throwing in that Riptire, catches the majority of Iona College, at least within those sightlines now, just waiting it out. Immortality field goes down. Yahoo trying to go in for it, gets one. So Colorado still going to be taking lead advantage here with the DMEC, especially Samex not able to provide that damage mitigation. Colorado still just holding Iona in this small room, and they have to try to make a rotation fast, but they're already losing members. With that Earth Shatter, they're going to lose even more. Now Iona once again going back to spawn, reconsidering their plans.
Man, if there's anything about Brawl, it's you gotta be a full team as well. If you just gotta be a little bit more cautious. Symmetra is very good at these kill boxes, and the fact that they're using this wall very early is just showing the fact that they don't want to lose anything.
They don't want to lose anything. Ruby gonna be dropping that self-destruct, trying to get the teleport into the backlines. Doesn't look like he's quite connected. See the coordination trying to come through Colorado, perhaps just a little bit of misexecution there. Riptire coming in from Strachey, trying to find anything they can, but in the meantime, Cloud's just having their way with this Iona team. Nobody able to get away for free. Only one member in Samex able to touch, but immediately torn off this point. Madara going to be having to drop that sound barrier just to keep themselves alive, but immediately torn asunder by Bird Boys, proving that the superior Lucio might be on the blue team. Objective secured 100-0.
I've never seen a team have the ability to just sit there and say, you know what, we push forward, we use ultimates, we slow down their time to the point where they can't even use anything in their bank. We even saw them try to use the Riptire, try to just be able to kind of overstay their welcome and immediately be punished. That takes a lot of dedication and just kind of team coordination to be able to pull. A lot of teams struggle with it, and I'm very proud to see Colorado do it. So when moving out, it's going to be really good, especially here out on Gardens, because Iona, they're just going to teleport on point. They're just going to look to kind of be annoying and kind of stay there in their own mini microwave. However, Colorado, they're already switching back over to that Shadow Dive, or really switching over to it. So they're going to be able to slowly break it, but it matters how they take those engagements.
Iona gonna really have to be working to catch anybody out here with Strachey's May wall. Immediately we see the teleport come out in Iona, having Syzygy fall really low. Cloud already creeping around to the back end, trying to get that huge backstab damage to come through. Tears down the immortality field, and Colorado Boulder have not looked like they can set themselves up on point as neatly as they need to. Bird Boys still doing a great job keeping their team healed, giving their team that speed utility as well, but Iona has that first initial presence on point. Colorado Boulder eventually able to push in, and Funkmaster actually falls. Ruby getting frozen up as well means no real tank presence coming through. Iona College even able to get a proton barrier up. Things are looking very good for them. They're going to start getting some percentage up, and Colorado has to back.
All about sustainability, and Iona have a ton of it because of the fact that Ya's not going to be able to kind of religiously build up that EMP, more of kind of every fight scenario, kind of every fight. It's going to be weird. It's really hard to be able to move in without an initial pick, and especially with those turrets up.
Cloud going to be going for an optimistic pulse bomb. Can't quite make it connect, but Krev perhaps playing a little bit too far off point. Gets caught out by Funkmaster. This looks like it might be Colorado's opportunity to turn things around, not needing that EMP to initiate this fight. It's going to be the Primal Rage to just bully this Lucio away, trying to keep them away from the rest of their team, prevent that speed and healing from coming into effect. It does so effectively, as now Boulder looking to flip this point.
Yeah, sorry, y'all. Didn't mean that to be a little bit more PG than expected. I guess Funkmaster just really got inside the groove, just trying to stop Madara from taking out the Shinobi Village. Either way, it was a really good push. Now this is where kind of the momentum of Colorado having that Sombra is going to work.
But a good start for Iona to be able to get the kill on that Tracer. An EMP bomb coming through. Ruby able to land onto 3 with great coordination from Yahoo. This fight's already over.
It's just all about coordination, and it's exactly why Sombra is such an oppressive character and by far one of the most annoying ones. Iona can kind of move in as much as they want, but it's going to be increasingly an issue as long as Yayu is going to get those hacks. We already see them kind of switching, making some kind of more curious ideas. As much as I think that these can work, it's going to be a big heart, because Shadow Dive's going to be able to hack that Hog, hack that Diva, hack all your team. What are you going to do to stop it, or any kind of big ultimate that they have planned?
A little wise to be moving away from those shields. Perhaps Iona College wouldn't be able to focus that damage mitigation towards all the different directions that are coming through here, so they might be just trying to lean a little bit more on these bruiser-type tanks. We can see Oblivion's just playing ready for that hook, trying to catch Cloud out the moment they can. Pulse Bomb goes out, doesn't catch anything. No, only the Immortality Field, but the cleanup, the follow-through is there from Colorado, who now look to blow into this small room and really put the hurt on the Iona.
If there's anything that you don't do is you don't let the comp move in first. We already saw them push in, and now Yayu is going to be able to build up that EMP. They basically feel secure. They can push these fights whenever they want. Not only do they have the resources to, but they have the angles. The entirety of Iona is just one giant ult battery for this Sombra and for people like Cloud to just kind of push in. As much as they want to be looking for these funny meme hooks, it's really hurting them.
Early on, hooks go out. Oblivion's not able to find anything. EMP goes online, nails 5 members, and those 5 members looking to be taken down. Overtime has to come through. The Diva, the Lucio, all trying to just make their last stands count as much as possible. Sam X going to be dropping the self-destruct. Finds only one in Ruby. Ruby taking down Sam X as well. Nobody else able to touch beyond that. With that, Colorado going to be taking this second point, and therefore Lijiang Tower. But they did give a little bit over to Iona.
I mean, as much as I'd like to see flexibility, you know, it's 2021. We don't need to run the same things. Also, that is the worst Sombra play of the game, just objectively speaking, okay? Either way, Iona just weren't able to adapt or really play around the University of Colorado. Their compositions just weren't in their favor, as well as they weren't able to kind of get those mid to early fight picks that you really rely on when playing onto that Hog. As well, Hog is not supposed to be running down the same angle as your team. I mean, yes, that is technically what your Hog is supposed to do. It's in the script. However, I find it much more funny, and I tend to think you get more value if you just don't play with your team and you are just the Ghostbusters of Hog, and you're just going around looking to just, you know, suck them into the tube, whatever they call it, inside the series.
Well, maybe a little bit of a methodology change needs to come through from Iona, but Colorado starting off very strong. No surprise to those fans of Colorado. We were expecting a strong performance from them, and of course, because of that, they're going to be taking Lijiang Tower. I don't know if we got to mention it before we got started here, user, but it's going to be Lijiang Tower. Then we're going to be moving on to King's Row Temple of Anubis. And it's the same as we've been seeing so far throughout the entirety of this afternoon, this evening, and tonight. It's going to be the same as well. The question becomes, will we be seeing that elusive fourth map? Will we be seeing Gibraltar anytime soon? I think Colorado's going to try their hardest to prevent it on their end.
I definitely think so too. I think you kind of want to extend this for as long as possible. Temple of Anubis is by far one of the hardest maps to end things off on, so just getting this win on King's Row at least guarantees the ability to kind of play back and maybe start pushing things back into your favor. I definitely think that's something you really want to focus on because King's Row is a difficult map. Everybody plays King's Row, meaning that everybody is comfortable with it. So as much as we're going to be seeing standardized composition or maybe flexes and changes, I think the changes are very much really necessary, especially at higher tiers, if you want to be able to beat a team. Because as much as you want to mirror, if you can force someone to play a very uncomfortable game like Colorado are looking like they want to do, well, you're just going to be able to shut them down. Yayu and Cloud being on two characters that we don't see very used often, but I still really like the Doomfist. The one-shot potential is absolutely massive. I watch Chipso, okay? I'm a Fusions fan, whatever. But Cloud, having that TP means that they're able to take so much control and mini kind of poke damage that Sam is gonna have to kind of struggle on who you're looking at. While Ion, well, it's all up to their own Hanzo to kind of get those picks and let them be able to move in.
University of Colorado using a very easy comp to pivot on Yahoo, just has to look for those first few early openings and then just follow up with some big clean damage. Immediately Funkmaster closing the gap as that damage coming in from those sim turrets by Cloud just being so effective, and now Samex just being chased down by Ruby. This off tank, no surprise to anybody here, just trying to get aggressive, and eventually Samex is gonna fall.
I respect that. You know, normally only in scrims we don't stagger the diva, but they just decided to end off Sam. Let them come back. At least now Ion, they have room. They're going to be saying, okay, let's pick that Cassidy. We know what they're running. We're going to be able to flex around, and it's only become more of an issue if they don't try and adapt around it.
See if that adaptation can come through. Yahoo immediately going in for those combos. The flash comes out, but Yahoo not quite within shooting range of that Mei, not quite within that lethality range of that Cassidy, rather.
Oh my!
Big Earth Shatters coming through. Colorado just going to be pushing in through that choke now on the attack here. Funkmaster getting 3 kills off the back end.
My goodness, just having that Doomfist, meaning that even if Funkmaster dies, they would have gotten so much value off of that, and it's really what Funkmaster is more relying on, is allowing his team, or their team, more of it, to just kind of shut them down, and it's really a good ability, or just mentality when playing Ryan. Ion are not keeping up with this momentum, and it's showing the more this goes on, as well as the Doomfist.
And Iona look like they're just going to be falling for the same old tricks once again. This time it's going to be a little bit different by having that Meteor Strike. It's going to be pushing up onto that high ground, forcing out that immortality field, and then continuing to just play so aggressively here. Yahoo not able to really find too much after that Meteor Strike, but still putting enough damage to force Iona to have to run back home.
I definitely have to agree. They are barely being able to kind of pass through that choke without immediately being shut down, and it's kind of the way that they're taking these fights. They're always expecting Yayu to not be there, and yet they are there, and they're not doing anything about it. Sam's not being able to kind of save their team. And the moment that Doomfist walks in, that's when Colorado feels that confidence to just push, and they have nothing to fear about. Doomfist is giving them room.
And once again, we see Yahoo going to the well, finding some success at this well. Early kills coming in from Ruby with that self-destruct. Yahoo taking a lot of damage, but their support's keeping them alive so crucially. Iona College has a lot of ultimates, but they don't have the opportunity to lean on them.
In the wise words of a show I used to watch, this is a big I carumba type of moment. We already see them. They're not being able to really play the game. They have saved all 6 ultimates. Ion have more than enough room to be able to cap this point in 1 minute, but they have every ultimate. It's just how do they use it, especially against this Ryan.
From the top ropes, maybe? No, Funkmaster not going to be going for the huge Earth Shatter. Tries to do a 180, doesn't net too much, gets both the tanks on Iona. Oblivion's tries to return Shatter, doesn't find too much, but counterpins onto Funkmaster. Although University of Colorado has the health pool, they have that sound barrier to keep them alive. Somebody on point trying to just make it happen, but Madara eventually getting killed before that first tick can be achieved.
Man, they used their ultimates actually in that fight, which was a good sign. However, the bad sign was the fact that they used it the moment that they were extremely low and on the back foot, so they weren't going to get room. Now they're going on to this composition, and yes, getting that Moira is going to help, but I don't know how well.
Yahoo finally not able to pull off that same strategy that they've been able to for the last 4 fights. Iona College slowly going to start to suffocate this team of Colorado. It's going to be members falling after members. Ruby able to get 2 kills though with the mech, 1 on Explosion, 1 on Remech. That might help to shift the momentum, especially if Colorado can get back in a fast enough pace. Ruby just trying to receive as much healing as possible from the Lucio, from the Moira. Yahoo right now just trying to queue up those abilities, trying to land some big hits. Not able to find too much, however, gets the D-Mech, and it looks like this might be the end of things for Iona. They gave Colorado too much time. Sinji goes into the high noon, finds only 1, continues to try to sink into Funkmaster, but the Coalescence, too much healing and too much damage. Iona just getting chased down, gonna barely be getting over that 50%.
It is really good on just the ability to be able to come back, and that's why Colorado's composition works very well, while Iona, it does not work well, especially against Colorado, because not only do they have a shield, but they have a fast-paced, kind of sustaining composition where they're going to be able to survive these long-term fights and even quick-term fights. If Iona isn't kind of continuously pushing forward, overstaying their welcome, being in uncomfortable stances towards Colorado, well, they're just going to be able to do these kind of plays, and they're just going to shut them down no matter what. Maybe Oblivion isn't comfortable on that main tank role, and there are definitely compositions to where you can run kind of more off-tanky ideas, but it's not going to work well on King's Row, especially if you're not running it very comfortably. This is where the University of Colorado, they're going to be running AC 130. They just seem to want to end this as fast as possible, and if you can't predict it, I don't really think you can shut it down.
I absolutely have to agree. I think so far, what we've seen, especially on this first point of King's Row, Iona College just suffering from not learning from their mistakes fight to fight. How many times did we see that Doomfist just get such incredible value coming from the same attack angle, still coming in with that seismic slam off the high ground, then immediately going in for a lot more damage with those left clicks. And Colorado now has to only win 1 fight, realistically get just above that 50%. And right now they're going to be going out with that sim again, trying to just get the crown placed on the statue, get that bastion up and in point. Colorado's going to take a little bit of damage, but with this Junkrat, with this soldier, they won't be able to do a lot of burst damage to Yahoo. As they come up, set themselves up immediately. Reinhardt falls, and I spoke about not being able to do enough damage, but Iona answer back. Orion still able to get the res, though, not able to camp that body from such a low ground position. Funkmaster going to have to slowly be backing off, letting their shields recover, but Ruby has their back. Yahoo right now just going to be getting set up on these long lines of sights. The damage amplification comes through, and University of Colorado have already sealed their fate. They are looking successful. That first take already achieved.
Yeah, as much as, like, it's really impressive on the fact that they were able to burst down through not only the shields, but eventually the Bastion, you don't have that long-term survivability, and, well, Sam doesn't have much room or healing to kind of save that mech against that high damage composition. It's very vulnerable, yes, but it's high damage, and as Funkmaster shows, it is really good at getting the job done, especially with these shatters. University of Colorado have also just been playing at an absolute momentum I have not seen within the collegiate scene. Maybe that's my fact that I'm new to the collegiate scene, you know, I'm a little baby boy, I get to watch it, you know, I'm kind of getting introduced to everything, but they played very well, and I think that works to a very high degree against a team that maybe isn't used to being really aggressed on.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado absolutely running the board. Also, I want to make a quick point here. I know behind the scenes, our producer is smiling because Aeon able to capture the exact replay that we saw in play of the game. So I think Aeon gonna be pretty happy about that. Just classic good producer stuff. But either way, folks, Colorado gonna be taking a quick break with Iona College. We will as well. We'll be back in just a few moments, so stick around. And just like that, we are back. Not too much time, but I hope you guys grabbed a water, grabbed some snacks, maybe if you're feeling a little bit peckish. But either way, Colorado going to be feeling pretty peckish for the last remaining map point that they need to win here. Iona College in the hot seat down 0-2.
Man, right now, it's just kind of been Iona more having fun, trying out new things, and not really using kind of the big brain ideas to be able to shut down University of Colorado, though being on Temple of Anubis, it seems University of Colorado are kind of having a bit of trolling on their side because Winston and Roadhog are not very favorable compositions. Maybe this is a new meta that they've scrimmed and, you know, they've stolen from the Shock, but Iona have a really good point to break through this.
It's not going to be a great start as Colorado immediately getting that value, the trap, the concussion mine, a classic thing you have to check for on Anubis. Iona College just absolutely neglecting that, and Ruby just going to be running it down mid, trying to catch anybody out that she can. Not going to quite be able to, however, that Rhine Shield providing a brief moment of clarity, and Yahoo playing on this high ground. That D.Va pushing up against them has to be very careful as that trap could snap them in half if they get planted for too long.
Yeah, they're really struggling to be able to break through. The thing that works well about Colorado's composition is just the fact that it's such high damage. Look how they're being already able to kind of move slowly on point, but they're still being hit with a lot of poke, and it seems that they're not sustaining through it.
Yeah, it seems like we're seeing a little bit of disorganization coming through from Iona. We're seeing so many different angles of play. It doesn't seem like anybody's focused on one particular person, and because of that, Colorado able to clean up, get those final last few kills. The Venom Mine kill even coming through. You don't see that too often.
I mean, it's a little bit here or there. I think the big issue comes from the fact that Sam X is staggered, and Temple of Anubis is a map where you cannot let yourself get staggered. Your team needs you to be able to push in, and now you're trying to mirror in. I just like the D.Va going sleeper, you know. Still, it's gonna be a bigger issue. Funkmaster is on the monkey. You're gonna be blocked half of the time, and unless you're being able to deal with this Widowmaker, as reasonable as it seems to kind of go onto the Hog, D.Va, maybe try to mirror them in that sense, it's only gonna be increasingly harder.
Nano's gonna be going out. It's actually hitting Orion. That Zenyatta looking a little bit more juiced up than normal. Damage trying to come through with those Orbs of Destruction. Sam X getting put out of mech early on. Iona has to try to take a step back, but Colorado's not giving them any breathing space.
They also just have a lot of confidence. They used it onto the Zenyatta. I don't think that's a mistake at all. I think that was solely just because they're able to give out a lot of damage, including that Discord Orb. So you build up that Transcendence, you save yourself another team fight for the next round, no matter what they use. Even if they use that window and visor, it's gonna hurt.
Ruby immediately getting the hook into Krev, taking them down, and going to be activating that whole Hog, throwing it through the Transcendence as well. Colorado know that they can keep their team secure here, as now we see them continue to wipe up Iona.
Your discretion is advised. Please take all minors away, because just how aggressive that they are playing. They're hiding in this very, I think, semi-obvious spots. I think every Overwatch player should always be checking their corners, and it seems Iona, they're not being able to.
Oh no, and this is about to be the worst example of it. Yahoo needs to just have this peaked. I think there's a Baptiste Krev not even calling them out just yet. Yahoo eventually able to get away with their life, but the same can't be said for Sam X's Mega or even the face of SysG as they get just destroyed by Cloud. Now Colorado continues to lean in, tries to get more kills. This Junkertown combo coming in from Colorado is just dealing so much pain.
Yeah, there's just not much that you can do, quite honestly. Iona's composition just does nothing, and they're not being able to do anything, as well as just the fact that, look at that, Yaoyu is literally up top 1v1ing a D.Va and gets away scot-free. That's an issue.
Away scot-free, and that D.Va almost gets taken down. Does eventually get taken down. Sam X using that self-destruct, but is vulnerable as baby D.Va. Now as we see Colorado still, I don't believe, have lost any members for this entire fight. Madara trying to just get somewhere near point, but can't make it now with 5 seconds left. The question remains, can anybody from Iona touch? Does not seem to be the case. Time gonna run out. Transcendence popped from Orion, perhaps a little bit of celebration, or perhaps body blocking, but Sam X not gonna make it.
I feel really bad for Iona. I feel like they maybe really like this style of their own compositions, and maybe it works in scrims, but scrims and a real match are two completely different things. And the University of Colorado, they're basically just kicking you while you're already down, and it's really showing because I don't think the ideas of what they're coming out with work fundamentally, especially on these types of maps. They know what it's going to be ahead of time. So, I tend to expect a lot more dive, maybe more compositions that are very speedy and you want to rotate. Colorado very much are looking to just split you up and enable people who can get those one shots. But as they move out and you're on that double shield, they just have to get a tick. And as Colorado have already shown, they have the ability to easily win these fights immediately. I think you really need that second point as a security check to kind of, bring things out. And you're just going to have to be working in a kitchen if you really want to be able to defeat them.
Now we're seeing a little bit of a shade that we saw in the Tennessee game, right? Where if Cloud sticks on this Widowmaker, those long-range options, as long as Colorado's continually putting pressure on point, just opens things up for Cloud, because Iona can't even give up a single tick at this rate. Gonna see exactly how Iona decides to respond. They have this Torbjorn coming out. Gates are going to be going out. The double shield coming in from University of Colorado. Just trying to see what they can find. Cloud clearing that high ground, making sure that there's not an Ashe, a Widowmaker up there, as we sometimes see. But going on for this initial rotation, Boulder trying to find any openings. It's going to be Ruby leaning in on this Reinhardt. Usually we see her on that off-tank role, but going to be taking the Bulwark this time around. A nice halt coming in from Iona College, but it's not able to be capitalized on. Strachey didn't get their mind, or rather their trap to find too much, but will find it with just the standard pills. Cloud now taking this high ground, as I called out earlier. Sees the halt coming in, has to back off, and that opens up things a little bit for Iona, but they're not able to focus enough to get any of this damage down. These fights are just taking too long for Iona to allow Colorado to get set up.
More than anything, the way that they're taking these fights are very interesting. Oh, that anti sets it up!
Wow. A huge anti-nade coming in from Colorado allows the lean in, and Iona College setting down that Orisa shield, but not having the discipline to play behind it. Colorado Boulder trying to make this fight go by a little bit longer by pinning the Sigma on the point, but it doesn't matter. The point already gets capped, and Colorado at a 3-0.
They couldn't touch.
Oh. Wow.
Why? Oh, that's clean. Okay, that's gonna just clear up my mid-season depression of this match, as Colorado were just able to kind of outlast them, eventually kind of collapse them in, especially that monkey living too long. They just got hit with so much damage and so much pressure. They didn't know where to focus. I don't know if you saw exactly where that Orisa and Sigma were pointed, but they were two split angles, and neither was focused on the Reinhardt, who was able to build up that shatter. I mean, it's really hard to ult track in that type of fight, especially because that Reinhardt's going to be able to kind of curiously build it up, but it's still an issue that I think Iona, they want to work on. Maybe they weren't taking this map too seriously, and Colorado just were able to have a lot of fun being able to play that dominant style that they've shown. But either way, Colorado have been looking absolutely phenomenal. They are a little bit scary to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the story we've been seeing throughout this season. When you talk about dominant teams coming through here, Colorado definitely going to be at the top of most people's lists. Definitely a lot of Colorado stands out there. However, folks, if you are a stan of Colorado, you're going to want to stick around. We have an interview coming up with the winners of this match right after the break. Hello, folks. We are back. We are in the interview booth, and most importantly, we're here with Bird Boys from the University of Colorado. Bird Boys, hello, welcome, congratulations.
Yo, what's up? Thanks for having me here.
Not a problem at all. Thanks for putting on a good game for us, and I want to talk about something that I saw on Anubis right off the bat, right before I forget, because my memory's a little shaky sometimes. I want to talk about kind of the tank composition we saw there, because normally we see Ruby on that off tank role, but she was rocking that. I believe it was the Reinhardt when y'all were running a Reinhardt Winston. Was that just a little bit of a fun composition, or was there some thought process behind that?
Yeah, it was just a little bit of fun. Not gonna lie, none of us knew Ruby was on Rhine until like 30 seconds into the map when she kept yelling at us to go left, and I was like, what does she mean? Go? Like, we're going, we're waiting for Funk. But it worked out. It worked out. She always knows what to do, so she knew the play in that moment.
I've got to give that dedication there. I think that works very well. So going into the series, obviously you guys were playing a lot more traditional compositions, and the more you played, the more that kind of fell off, and the more you guys kind of experimented a little. Can I get a little bit more insight on that?
Yeah, I mean, at least for me, a lot of the main supports aren't necessarily the most fun characters, Brig and Mercy specifically. So if I ever get the chance to play literally anything else, I'm going to do that. Orion is basically like mentally a Zen one trick, so anytime he can play Zen, I want to let him play Zen. I don't know why Ruby locked Ryan. I've never seen her do that in my entire life, but it worked out. But just gotta play the fun characters when we can. It gets kind of boring playing the same comps all the time, so getting to switch it up is nice.
I definitely agree to that sentiment. Overwatch right now is very much in that stale formality and such. So I guess more of just, I kind of want to pick your brain. What are maps that you really want to be playing more in the future? Because you've been playing a lot of the same maps recently. I'm pretty sure in every league you play the same maps. Don't erase me. I'm still here. You can't get rid of my speed. But yeah, just lay it on us.
I'm sure that everyone in my team, when you ask me that question, knows what I'm going to say, and that's Ilios, just because I play Lucio and like booping people. I gotta have fun somehow on main support, so if I can, any mini game I can play, like booping the most people off the map at a time, like that works for me. Every single scrim, I end the scrim by telling Ruby to pick Ilios, and then she normally doesn't, but that's okay. Because it's not in the map pool. If y'all want to put that in, I'm always down to play Ilios. Ilios is nice. Always love King's Row. It's like the best map in the game. And then as long as I'm not playing Junkertown, that works for me for Escort, so... Yeah.
Well, hopefully a lot more action we're going to be seeing from Colorado. I'm sure you guys are going to continue to put up a fantastic performance, as we've been seeing pretty much all season. Undefeated, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
But, Bird Boys, that's about all we have for you here today. Before we let you go, do you want to give you the opportunity for any shout-outs, whether it's you, your team, whoever you feel?
Definitely shout out Ruby. I was going to shout her out anyway, but the Ryan gameplay at the end really sealed it. But she's just a great captain. Absolutely love her. Keeps the team together. And just one of the best people I know. So shout out Ruby. Yeah.
All right, Bird Boys, thank you for hopping in here, hanging out with us, answering a few questions. And once again, congratulations.
Thank you. You guys have a good one.
You too. And with that, user, we are about ready to wrap up Iona College versus Colorado. But a fantastic game so far. A little bit of the quicker game, the 3-0 that we've been seeing so far throughout the day.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Colorado finished that absolutely amazing. The interview is actually what took the most time to truly finish, and that's a bit more impressive. Felt like a script. Either way, Iona, I definitely want to be seeing them take a little bit more caution and a bit more preparation, because I think they have a lot of potential as a team, and especially if they're willing to flex off to different ideas. It's just you got to use proper formation.
They do. Iona College is going to be one of those teams to see how they improve both towards the end of this semester and as we look ahead into the future. But either way, we are ready to wrap things up for Colorado versus Iona. However, folks, we are not quite done. We have one more game on the horizon, so make sure you stick around. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a bit.